I read Profit First back in 2018, and it completely changed how I managed the finances of my business. The beauty of Profit First is that it can apply both to your personal and business finances. The Profit First model is centered around the notion of paying yourself first. Basically, before you have a chance to spend the money you make, put a portion of it away. In this episode, I'm sharing how anyone can apply Profit First to their life and business. Welcome to the City Girl Savings Podcast. I'm Raya Reeves, founder and finance coach of City Girl Savings. I turned my life around with budgeting many years ago, and now I'm on a mission to help others do the same. I fully believe that you can enjoy your life on a budget, and this weekly show will focus on the intersection of money and the City Girl lifestyle. Join me every week along with some special guests as I share my experiences, advice, and guidance on navigating life and money as an experience-loving millennial. Profit First is a financial allocation strategy created by Mike Michalowicz and shared in his popular book, Profit First: Transform Your Business from a Cash-Eating Monster to a Money-Making Machine. I will make sure to link to this book in the show notes because it's a game changer. So let's start by breaking down a few key points of Profit First. The Profit First method sets you up to take a predetermined percentage of each sale as profit first before leaving whatever's left over to pay yourself, pay your taxes, and operate your business. The Profit First method does require 5 separate accounts. Now, I'm going to talk about Profit First in terms of business, and then we'll talk about personal finances with Profit First a little later. So, assuming that you'll have 5 business accounts to run Profit First, you would have an account for revenue, taxes, operating expenses, profit distribution, and owner pay. So, Profit First basically says that as revenue comes in throughout the month, it goes directly to the revenue account. Then 1 to 2 times per month, and it's recommended twice a month on the 10th and 25th, you run Profit First. So you take the total amount that's in your revenue account and allocate it accordingly to your other accounts based on your target percentages. Then you transfer that amount, which again is based on those target percentages, to the appropriate accounts. In the book, the model comes with its own table of percentages that businesses can follow. Here are the percentages for a business earning up to $250,000 in revenue each year. Profit, 5%, owner's pay, 50%, taxes, 15%, and operating expenses, 30%. Now let's run an example. Let's assume your business makes less than $250,000 annually. Now we know what target percentages we have. And it's March 10th, so you're ready to run the Profit First method on all of the revenue that has come in since your last Profit First run, which would have been February 25th. So in that time frame, basically from February 25th through March 10th, $16,000 in revenue came in. If we're following our percentages, 5% would go to a profit account. So that's $800 moved directly to profit before anything else. So profit is always moved first. Then 50% would go to owner's pay. So that's $8,000. So you would move $8,000 to your owner's pay account. This account is used for payroll, or if you don't have payroll set up, just pulling from it to pay yourself. Next, 15% or $2,400 is moved to an account just for paying taxes. And then finally, the remaining 30% or $4,800 is left for operating expenses. So you move that money to your operating expenses account and use that account to pay any expense or bill related to running your business. Now, the more revenue you make, the higher your profit percentages become. This allows you to run your business on the notion that profit is always pulled out first. You may be wondering, well, what do I do with the profit after I move it to that account? In the book, it's recommended that every quarter you actually pull the amount from your profit account. So 50% of whatever's in your account goes to the owner as a profit distribution. And then the other 50% goes to goals for the business or investments for the business. Now I want to share with you my Profit First story. As I mentioned, I started using the Profit First model back in 2018. So this was about 3 years after starting my business. If you have listened to episode 7, 10 biggest lessons learned from running my business, you'll know that it took me a handful of years to start actually making a fruitful revenue. Doesn't matter, I still tried. So my Profit First percentages when I first started back in 2018 were as follows: 1% to profit, 0% to taxes, 5% to owner pay, and 94% to operating expenses. I know. But here's the thing. I could only afford to pull 1% in profit. I could only afford to pay 5% to me. And everything else was a bill. So early on in my business, I wasn't paying taxes. You'll probably notice the 0%. That's because I had a corporate job where I was paying quite a bit in federal taxes. So I didn't think it was necessary for my business to pay them. Also early on, anytime money came into the business, it was usually going right out. It took me a while to actually be profitable in my business. So quite a bit of the revenue was used for operating expenses or paying bills for the business. Now, I'm so glad that I actually started Profit First when I did. However, if I would have known Profit First when I actually started my business, maybe I would have been able to start with the proper percentages from the beginning. I felt like I had to work backwards a little bit, but it's okay. Eventually, I started making more revenue and I was able to work my way up to more suitable percentages. But had I not started Profit First at all, or when revenue was as low as it was, I probably would have continued to make poor decisions when I did start making more. So at the end of the day, I don't regret how anything panned out. Are you tired of wondering which moves to make next with your money? Do you need some guidance on whether to pay off debt, save, or focus on something else? Get my free Money Moves packet today and start making impactful money moves instantly. Go to citygirlsavings.com/moves to download your Money Moves packet now. Okay, so we talked about Profit First in terms of your business, but let's talk about applying Profit First to your personal life. If you don't have a business, don't see yourself running a business, Profit First can still be beneficial. In fact, paying yourself first is a foundational money management principle from the dawn of currency. And if you don't believe me, just read The Richest Man in Babylon. I'll link to it in the show notes. It's basically a story set in BC, so before Christ, and it talks about different principles as it relates to money. And one of those principles is paying yourself first. So definitely check that book out. But every payday, having a specific amount of money transferred to your savings via a direct deposit directly from your paycheck or a transfer from your checking to savings allows you to pay yourself first, and then the rest can be spent. So as soon as the money hits your account, whatever needs to be saved is moved to savings. That is paying yourself first. Now, if you already have a budget, then you likely do have a good idea of what percentage can be saved right away. Whatever that percentage is, just go ahead and get that savings cadence set up immediately. If you don't have a budget or you don't think that you can afford to save anything, start small like I did. 1% of your paycheck straight to savings the moment you get paid. Eventually, you'll learn to live on less and you'll be able to increase that percentage. I promise you, if you start small, you won't miss the money as much. So just give it a go with 1% and work your way up. Now, whatever amount you do decide to put into savings, I suggest putting that money in a savings account that is not linked to your checking. Meaning, I don't want you to have easy access to that money. Put that money in a high yield savings account. If you're not aware of what those are, it's basically an account with an online bank that offers higher interest rates. So it's not linked to your checking account. Does take a little bit longer to get to that money if you need it, but that's good. It's not an instant transfer, so you really have to think through pulling the money out. I'll be sure to link to some of the popular ones like Synchrony, American Express, Bank, and Ally in the show notes. Keeping your money in this type of account allows you to really think about if you need to pull that money or not. You're not really tempted to touch it because it's not right there connected to your checking. So you have to put some thought into it before you pull the money out. Now I want to wrap us up with some Profit First tips for success. First and foremost, tailor the percentages to fit the needs of your business and you as a person. I shared with you my initial Profit First percentages. They were nothing like the book recommended, but that's okay. It's all I could afford at the time. So don't be afraid to tailor the percentages to fit the needs of you and your business. It's absolutely critical, and just know you can change over time. Next, if the thought of having 5 bank accounts is a little overwhelming, at minimum, I want you to have an account for operating expenses, and you can use this account as your revenue and expenses account. I want you to have an account for taxes because I want you to get into the notion of saving for taxes, even if you do it like I did and pay for taxes through your corporate paycheck. Still, put something away that is dedicated just for taxes. And then finally, I want you to have an account for your profit or business goals. So at least have 3 accounts if you don't want to do the full 5. Now, if you decide to use your operating expenses account for revenue and the expenses, I want you to have a budget in place and I want you to know that you stick to the budget. Otherwise, all the revenue that's coming into the account, if you're constantly overspending, you're eating away at your own profit and you're probably reducing the amount that gets put in your other categories. So be cautious, have your budget in place, and know that you need to stick to it. If you're just starting out in your business, I want you to try to determine your percentages based on the average of the last 6 months to establish your baseline. If you're new, maybe you're not ready to start with the percentages recommended in the Profit First book, but also maybe you don't want to be as drastic as I was with my percentages. Take an average of the last 6 months and see what your baseline is. Start there, and then you can work to improve your percentages over time. Next tip, build up a cash cushion in your operating expenses account during those extra profitable months. Now, if you're a business owner, you know business ebbs and flows. Some months are great, some months are not so great. So during the months that are great, make it a point to build up a little bit of reserve just in case the months that are not so great don't have to take you out completely. Eventually, you'll get a nice feel for it. And final tip for success, make sure you name your accounts. If you do decide to do 5 accounts or 3 accounts, however many accounts you decide to do, make sure you name them. I would hate for you to move the wrong percentage to the wrong account. Usually in your online profile with your bank, you can just simply change the name of each account. So make sure the name matches what the account is designed for. At the end of the day, Profit First can be used by us all, and hopefully I've encouraged you to give it a shot. Thank you so much for tuning in to City Girl Savings today. I hope you feel empowered and inspired to master your money as you make your way to your dream life. Make sure you subscribe so you're the first to know when a new episode comes out. I truly value your thoughts and feedback, so please leave a review and let me know how this podcast has impacted you. Can't wait to chat soon and make it a great day.